On the WGNS Radio Roundtable, a Thursday morning as we are well into the new year 2025. We were very pleased, very fortunate, and very full of anticipation with our visitor this morning, Mr. Eric Hennessee, who currently is the Chief of Staff to the Mayor of Rutherford County, Joe Carr. Eric, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Eric, I always like to, when we have a guest for the first time, like to find out all about what makes a person tick. You were born where?
I was born in Warren County, Tennessee.
Okay, local.
Yes, and my family and I, we moved to Murfreesboro when I was in the first grade. So some people would say I'm not from here, but I always considered myself to be from Murfreesboro.
Most of your life.
Yeah.
What were some of the schools you went to? Because there may be some listeners who said, I remember Eric in the second grade.
So I started at Mitchell Nelson, then went to Bellwood, then to Central Middle, and on to Riverdale High School.
And from Riverdale, you went on to college?
I did. I attended Lipscomb University in Nashville, majored in biology and psychology.
Excellent. I'm going to ask you this. I have a fascinating story with Lipscomb. Many years ago. And I have to say, I think 1964 was many years ago. I had just been appointed assistant city manager of the city of Redlands, California. And one of the first things the choice I had to do was speak at the local high school in the civics class to get young men and young women enthused and encouraged about public service. And throughout my presentation, there was a young man sitting in the front row, and he kept asking questions and really showed interest. In fact, when I finished, he followed me out to my car full of questions. And his name was Randy Lowry. And next time I met Randy was when he was named president of Lipscomb University. So I said, Randy, did I have anything to do with inspiring you to follow public service from high school to Lipscomb? He had been at Pepperdine University on the West Coast in conflict management. In fact, I just ran into Randy and his wife at Cracker Barrel maybe a month ago, and he's now working for an attorney law firm, major law firm. So Lipscomb, how did you get into two majors of biology and psychology? That's quite a combination.
Well, so I started out as a biology major, chemistry minor, with the idea of possibly going to medical school. Mm-hmm. And I took my first biology class with Dr. Hambley, mm-hmm. and absolutely loved it. And so from that point on, I decided that psychology was the way I wanted to go as opposed to medicine at that time, and decided to stay an extra half year and mm-hmm. finished out the major for psychology.
Which I would imagine years later it plays a key role being a major player in the county government.
It doesn't hurt.
So you practice your psychology, you see what motivates people, how you conflict resolve?
A little bit, yes.
And you graduate from Lipscomb with a dual major?
Yes, sir.
And went into what afterwards?
So while I was at Lipscomb, a friend of mine started a mission trip to Lima, Peru. And so the first year I went down with him. The second year I helped lead the group down. And then after graduating from Lipscomb, myself and a friend who had gone down, we moved to Lima, Peru. Mm-hmm. I ended up staying there about 6 months. He ended up staying there a little over a year.
Wow.
Working with a local church. And when I came back, I went to the University of Memphis and attended law school.
What do you remember best? What were your most favorite memories of Lima?
The people.
Okay.
When I first went there, I did not speak the language. Mm-hmm. And the people were so warm and inviting and welcoming. I've been to Lima, Peru a million times. Not mm-hmm. literally, but a lot.
Were you based in Lima with a mission, or were you outside of Lima?
We were in Lima.
In Lima itself, okay.
Yes. The people were always just so inviting and so warm, and helped us in any way they could.
And you enhanced your Spanish?
I learned Spanish. Yeah, I did not speak any Spanish at all when I first moved down there. Fortunately for me, my friend who went with me did speak Spanish, so I leaned on him pretty heavily for the first couple of months there till I learned some things to help myself get around.
Did you enjoy the food?
I did, yeah.
Peru, as I recall, very much into meats, steaks.
Some, yes.
Uh-huh.
There's actually a restaurant in Smyrna that has Peruvian dishes.
Oh, really?
The La Siesta in
I did
Smyrna
not know that. Okay.
has several Peruvian dishes, yeah.
Do you get them now and then as memories?
We do, yes.
So you then, when you graduated, came back from the mission, decided to go to law school.
I did, yes.
What prompted you to go to law school? Though majoring in psychology, I always say poli-sci is the best roadway into law school, but I would imagine psychology would.
As I was getting ready to graduate from Lipscomb, I was speaking to my advisor on which path I would go from there. And he's actually the one who suggested law school to me. And on his suggestion, I signed up to take the LSAT, bought a book, did a little studying, went and took the LSAT, and did well enough to attend the University of Memphis.
I have a granddaughter. My oldest granddaughter has completed her LSATs and is now going into the admissions process. I think she's got applications at 7 law schools throughout the country.
So I was living in Peru at the time I was applying
Oh, really?
to law school. And at the time, DHL was the main carrier between Peru and the United States. And it was rather expensive to mail the applications back. And so I only applied to the University of Memphis because I didn't have the funding. Because I had limited funds to live on for 6 months, and $50 was a lot of money back then.
Exactly. And you went to law school and completed, and your interest in pursuing what kind of law?
So I originally was thinking about doing immigration law, and I came back to Murfreesboro and applied to several different law firms. I interviewed with Jack Mitchell at Mitchell & Mitchell here in town. He hired me, and I started there and primarily worked in criminal defense and family law.
Wow. So I'm looking back at your mission work in Peru, and now you were going to defend people accused of a crime. Was that a good bridge? Was that a good relationship?
I mean, it worked for me.
Good. Absolutely. You know, I always like to ask a person who has been in criminal law, and it's not unique to you, Eric. Were you, as an attorney for a defendant, more interested in whether the defendant was innocent or guilty, or just to be sure that the defendant was given his full or her full legal rights and clear and present danger, and being judged without any limitations?
I think most criminal defense attorneys, I wouldn't say there's a primary focus, because obviously you're looking at both sides of that. But in a vast number of cases, what it boils down to is making sure that the process is done properly, and that your client is given a fair opportunity to have their side.
And that any conviction is beyond any reasonable doubt.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So you were there 14 years?
I was approximately 14 years. Yes.
And your next step was?
So in 2020, I transitioned to work for the town of Smyrna as an attorney. It's kind of interesting. My first day with the town of Smyrna was actually the day that the Supreme Court of the United States, the Supreme Court of Tennessee shut down all courts within the state of Tennessee.
Because of COVID?
Because of COVID,
wow.
Yes. So my first day in Smyrna was the first day of COVID taking hold.
You started the first day with a mask?
You know, I don't recall. I don't recall. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't.
I was just thinking, that would have been about February, March, April of 2020?
March,
right? When it really hit the road. What were some of the things you were doing in the legal process of the town of Smyrna?
So I worked with Jeff Peach, who is the
Mm-hmm.
town attorney for the town of Smyrna, and we kind of divided the different departments. And so I had responsibility of some departments, and he had responsibility of others. Although he was my boss, and
Mm-hmm.
he ultimately reviewed everything. But contract reviews, those
You
kind
get
of,
much into land use cases?
I did not.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Contract reviews for vendors of certain things. Actually, back at that time, it was also a time when property values were changing rather rapidly.
Exactly.
And houses were being flipped rather rapidly. And so I had the distinction of we would have properties that were, they weren't mowing their yards, and the yards were getting too large and outside of our ordinances. And so we were trying to find the owners. And so I spent a lot of time trying to track down who the actual owner was of the properties, so that we would know who to send letters to. And it got to the point where I would have to search up until the month we were actually in.
Wow.
Because if I found information that was a month or two, 2 months old or something, sometimes that information was no longer valid.
It nullified the process.
Yeah, so we would send a letter on information that I'd found that was like a month or 2 months old, and we would get a response back of, I don't own that property anymore. So, yeah, it was quite interesting.
So you were in planning and zoning enforcement and
I assisted with
zoning
that.
enforcement. So from there, what traveled you over to the county courthouse?
So I saw that Mayor Carr
Had just been elected.
had just been elected, and there was a job posting for the chief of staff position, and that job posting required that the applicant have a JD or be a lawyer, and so I applied.
And who interviewed you?
I interviewed with Mayor Carr and Sonia Stevenson, the HR director.
And how was that first interview with Mayor Carr? Was he very direct on his questions?
I mean, it was fair. That there were.
I would imagine it would be.
I was, asked about my qualifications and some things that I had put in my resume and that kind of thing. And then, but best I recall, that's about it.
And then you got a phone call,
I did, yes.
and they said, "We want you with the county of Rutherford."
And would you accept?
And you said, "Let me think about it."
No, I said yes, I would accept, and put in my notice and moved over.
What are some of the both formal as well as informal functions of the chief individual that you are? Literally the quote, what makes it work for the mayor. You pretty much push the buttons and pull the lines.
So, the great thing about my job is that no 2 days are exactly alike.
Exactly.
Some days I am working with Nick Christensen, the county attorney, and we are reviewing contracts and things.
So a lot of what you did in Smyrna.
Some, yes. And then other days there's personnel issues. Some days I'm working with the mayor because he has a new policy that he would like to implement, and we're working together to make sure that those policies are legal and those types of things.
And you represent the mayor at community events?
Some, not a lot, no.
Okay. Is it what you expected, besides the fact that it's got a wide agenda of events and activities and responsibilities, but as a chief of staff, is it what you expected, or is it some surprises?
The core job, I would say, is probably, yes, what I expected. But as I said, no 2 days are exactly the same, and there's always something new to come up. I'm neglected to say this a moment ago, but, there's a lot of building that is taking place in the county.
Yes.
And I attend all of those meetings of the progress of those projects. That was something that I hadn't thought about doing before, but rather enjoy.
I would imagine, and this is just from my personal relationship and so forth, you're working with a lot of wonderful men and women.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that statement. I didn't know very many of the directors or employees of the county when I took this position, but I have been pleasantly surprised to find that all of them are incredible men and women who really do have, I think, the best interest of the county in mind.
And do you personally have linkage and relationships with all members of the county commission?
The mayor takes on a lot of that role. I do have personal connections with several of the members of the county commission, and several of them that I talk to on a regular basis. Yes.
Well, rather interesting. It's a large legislative body for a local government. You think of a city council of 5 or 7 people. Then, of course, you look at the Metro Council in Nashville as a consolidated county with 40, but you've got 21?
Yes, sir.
21 men and women, all who have different perspectives and length of time on the service. So, jumping from who you are and what you do and where you are, and first of all, I do want to do a shout out to Mayor Carr. Normally, I do not give a strong endorsement, but in my interviews with Mayor Carr or visits with Mayor Carr, I've been personally extremely impressed with his vision, and more importantly, that when he gets behind a particular proposal, he gets into it 110%, and he's a very committed, dedicated, and at times very passionate individual with what he believes is the vision and the implementation of vision of Rutherford County.
I would definitely agree with that statement. I think that one of the benefits that we have is Mayor Carr's not looking at how something is going to affect the county at this moment. He looks at that, but he's also considering how the decisions that are made today will affect the county 5-10 years down the road. He's always voicing and bringing out that we need to think about the future. We need to think about how this is going to affect future generations and future mayors and
Well, this is kind of a fascinating discussion when you talk about an elected official. It's normal to think that the elected official is looking for immediate solutions or decisions in order to get immediate results to respond to the political process of people, the electorate, supporting or not supporting that particular proposal. And it's generally up to staff, like people of yourself, to say, but I've got to look at the long-term implications. Something may be a wonderful, quick solution, but it could be a disaster on the long term. Or something may be a poor decision politically on the immediate, but on the long term, it's the best decision you could make for the well-being in the future. Let's address some of the challenges, opportunities, achievements of the county of Rutherford. As you mentioned before, and very appropriately, Rutherford County is a fast-growing county. One of the fastest-growing counties, I would say, in Tennessee, as well as perhaps in the nation. Population, you're about between 1/3 and 400,000.
I believe the latest data that I have seen from the Boyd Center at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville puts us at about 389,000.
I wasn't wrong then, I guess, between 1/3 and 400,000.
Yes, sir. We are now the 4th largest county in the state of Tennessee.
Wow. And, whether you're going to overtake Shelby County or Davidson County or Knox County, not sure. But on the other hand, land use planning, vision, development, future of Rutherford County, I'm certain that overrides almost everything you look at. How many more police officers or deputies do we need? How many more firefighters? What's our infrastructure, roads and sewers and water? What's our trash collection? What's our health service? What's our population? The role with education and dealing with the county education program and so forth. Each of those are directly impacted by, are we a growth county, a county that's stable in population, or in some tragic response, a decline county. But we certainly measure up to the point of being a growth county.
Yes, we do. And each one of those topics that you mentioned, we could probably spend a considerable amount of time discussing them, just to highlight some of the things. And if you have more specific questions, we can go into them. But
you're doing great.
Rutherford County currently is working on a plan called Plan Rutherford. This is going to be a policy that will, as we spoke about earlier, that will look to the future. This is, a 20-year plan is what they are currently drafting. Now, I want to say it is only in draft form at this time. I did write down some dates because I didn't want to forget them.
No, go right ahead.
If someone would like to find out some more information about what is actually in the Plan Rutherford plan in the draft form, they are going to be having a work session on Monday, January the 27th.
Next Monday.
Yes, and that will start around 9:30. They have a planning commission meeting, I believe, that starts at 9 o'clock, and would anticipate this to start around 9:30.
In the courthouse.
In the courthouse, in the second floor. This is not a public hearing, so the public would not be able to speak at this particular event, but you can come in and get some additional information. They will be discussing the plan and working towards changing that draft plan into a final plan. There will be other additional public hearings in the future, and the county will provide at least 30 days notice in advance. The mayor's office would like for everyone to participate in this plan and have as many voices heard as is possible.
I always, in terms of land use planning, community planning, public agency planning, I always would ask the question, if you had a magic wand to make this county, make this community perfect, if you ever can achieve perfection as a human being, but if you had a magic wand, did you dream, what should Rutherford County be like in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? How do people dream and then attempt to translate that dream into reality?
That's a very interesting question. In my position, the one who creates the policies for the mayor's office would be Mayor Joe Carr. And so that probably would be a better question to ask him as far as what his vision is for the future. I know that the mayor's office understands that, as you said, we do not want to become a decline county.
Right.
Growth in and of itself is not a bad thing, but you have to have sustainable growth.
Exactly. But it's interesting when you talk about growth. I know for a fact that the County of Rutherford, and specifically the mayor's office, maintains an excellent rapport and relationship with the respective municipalities within Rutherford County, and that is so important that there's partnership between the cities and the county in terms of land use. For example, does Murfreesboro adopt a totally different general plan than what the adjacent unincorporated areas may be outside the city limits of Murfreesboro? But of course, whenever anybody thinks of growth, the first thing they think of in Middle Tennessee is traffic. Traffic. Are we going to get bumper to bumper on Church Street leaving Murfreesboro into the county? Can our roads handle it? And so much of that is directly related to density of housing that's allowed in the planning process. If you build a 500-unit complex, which begins to address the housing issue, affordable housing, housing available for people, how many cars does that generate? And there's a 500-unit development versus a farm with 150 acres with maybe 3 vehicles. That, to a great degree, contributes. But, everyone has an issue and a question, a problem, a solution on traffic. I would assume this has a lot of discussion within the county of Rutherford.
First, I would like any conversation dealing with traffic in the county, I would like to start off by saying that Greg Brooks, of the Highway Department, does an excellent job in maintaining the roads within the county. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't start there.
Exactly.
Traffic is a problem not only here, but in other municipalities and counties as well. It's a problem everywhere. I think the mayor's office is fully supportive of the governor's position on the choice lanes. This, we believe, would assist the residents of Rutherford County to be able to get to Davidson County, where a lot of our citizens work, in a much more efficient and a way that they would be able to kind of estimate a lot better how long that journey to Nashville is. As anybody who travels to Nashville knows, some days it's 45 minutes, and some days it's 2 hours,
or more.
or more. Yes, absolutely. And so I think that's one solution that the mayor's office does support that is coming down the pike.
Well, it's kind of interesting. When I first read about the proposal and consideration through the governor's office and through the various counties about lanes specifically geared to fast track, being in Southern California for so many years, I would say that my immediate recollection is the fast track lanes, primarily on the 91 freeway between Riverside County and Orange County. And there are two ways to look at fast track. And I look at it one way versus probably the way most people may look at it the other way. I don't look upon fast track as, okay, you pay a fee, you get a computer ticket, and you just buzz into the fast track as a source of paying more money to have the advantage of being able to go 45 miles an hour rather than 20 miles an hour. The key thing about fast track was urging people to partner with other people, so you have 2 or 3 people in a car, and you develop a commuter lane which is based on the fact of multi-people in the vehicle. I mean, just think for a point that if 50% of the cars up I-24 going from Rutherford County into Davidson County had 2 people in the vehicle versus 1 person in the vehicle, the amount of impact that would have on traffic. Think even the possibility of having 3 people in the vehicle, because a goodly portion of people, especially Monday through Friday, are commuting on a daily basis to work. And, certainly we could put high-speed, fast-track rail in the middle or monorail and so forth, but the question becomes, it's got to be a motivation for people to partner up with passengers, and that will have as much of an effect. We are having a delightful visit, and I really am enjoying it, Eric. Eric Hennessee, who is the Chief of Staff for Mayor Joe Carr, Rutherford County, and we're going to be talking about some of the other, I don't call them challenges or problems, I call them opportunities for discovery with Eric as soon as we come back from our messages.
Participating in Murfreesboro's special census could help bring more funding to our city, $175 per resident per year. Here's Murfreesboro Mayor Shane McFarland.
Those dollars shared with us will greatly benefit our community, build roads, maintain parks, improve public safety, and much more.
It's fast and easy. Complete the form online at murfreesborocensus.com.
Count me in.
Okay, count me in.
And count me in too.
Let's make sure every resident counts. Visit murfreesborocensus.com.
Chip Walters here with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. I was named a top 10 agent in the #1 Exit Realty office in America in 2021. The top question I get around town, how's the market? Good question. And the answer's changed a few times this year alone. I'd like to know what you've heard and share some solid data we have. Give me a call and let's have a cup of coffee and take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. All my contact info is right on my website, choosechip.net. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
I
I've got pests, bees, buzzing, rodents running all through my house, ants chewing wood, and look, there's a mouse. I'm overrun with pests, but you're gonna be sure, safe and secure. It's the last rites for those pests. Call the best of the best to get rid of your pests.
893-7111. AmeriCare Services Incorporated. Call us today. 893-7111.
WGNS has been keeping you informed with local information for over 78 years. Thanks for tuning in. Maybe you're new to town and would like to learn more about our local history. Well, head on over to the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse. That's where the Rutherford County Historical Society meets with you every Saturday morning from 9 until noon, and it's free, including the coffee and donuts. So we'll see you Saturday at the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse, 9 until noon. That's at 717 North Academy Street. The Parkinson Support Group meets at the St. Clair Street Senior Center on the first and third Friday of each month, 10 o'clock in the morning. That's the first and third Friday of each month. For more information about the Parkinson Support Group, contact the St. Clair Street Senior Center. Don't throw away old glory. Bring your tattered American flag to WGNS. And let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Partial sunshine develops here this afternoon. We'll see a high in the low 40s. For tonight, mostly cloudy, a low near 21. Friday, skies become sunny, high around 37. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 27.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Are you ready to take control of your energy usage and save money? Download the MyMTE app to track your energy consumption, pay your bill, and even report outages right from your phone. It's free and available now in iOS and Android.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
This is Bill Krause returning on the WGNS Radio Roundtable, the Thursday morning edition. And we're visiting this morning with Eric Hennessee, the Chief of Staff to the Mayor of Rutherford County, Joe Carr, and getting some insight. As we heard one of the commercials, and I guess I had not thought of the application, but Murfreesboro and I'm assuming Smyrna, are those the only two cities in the county, are having special census population in order to receive a large allocation from state funding. Once the new census data comes in and is reaffirmed for Murfreesboro and Smyrna, that has an impact on Rutherford County too, doesn't it? Because it shows an added population in the cities, but it's still added population to Rutherford County.
That is correct. And you had mentioned something earlier about the county and the cities working together. You know, I'd like to take the second to say, the mayor's office takes the position that if something is good for one of the cities, be that Smyrna, Laverne, Murfreesboro, or Eagleville, then it's good for the county as well. And so we really do try hard in the mayor's office to work with and think we have a great relationship with the administrations of all four cities within this county.
Excellent. And I would assume in the other way, your relationships with the state legislature and our congressional delegation and our U.S. senators all would be equally as significant.
Those relationships are definitely important, and I know the mayor meets with those individuals quite often.
Do you have a chance to create a personal linkage and liaison with counterparts of yours in the various elected offices, whether it's a representative for the congressperson or staff person for a state senator, state representative, or city managers or related administrators within your respective jurisdictions?
I've had the opportunity to have some of those relationships just based on things and ideas that have come up. Smyrna has obviously a new town manager.
Correct.
But coming from there, I'm well aware and know the town council members, Jeff Peach, the attorney for the town, and many of the employees for the town of Smyrna as well.
You know what's fascinating about the Smyrna Town Council, and having been in city manager so long as I had been, I'm amazed that all members of the town council went to the same elementary school.
I did not know that.
Oh, in fact, when you hear Councilman Steve Sullivan, when his family moved to Murfreesboro, to Smyrna from another part of the state, or actually from the Nashville area, he transferred in the 8th grade, and the first person to welcome him to the 8th grade was the mayor as an 8th grader. So I think 2 or 3 of them were in the same grade level, and the balance were in other grade levels, but they all went to the same elementary school. That's got to be a record. That's got to be something very notable in local government throughout the United States.
Yeah, everybody always says that the world is a small place.
Yes.
and things. I think I have an interesting story for this.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I went to Peru, the only place we could find a hot shower was in the home of the preacher.
Wow.
That was at the church that we worked with. And so we would take turns every couple of days going to his house. We had a large group, so every so many people would take turns every couple of days to take a shower. And I walked in one day, and there's a painting or picture on the wall. And he tells us that that's his daughter and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at the guy, and I said, that guy kind of looks familiar. Didn't place him, went on about my business. Come to find out, that man was actually my cousin.
Oh!
And I had no idea that he was married to a Peruvian woman. She had attended Lipscomb a few years before I did, as did he, and they had met there. So.
Wow! And when you had the chance to see your cousin,
yeah, it was interesting after the fact, but I had no idea. He's a second or third cousin, but still, it was my cousin.
Well, it's amazing. We have 8.2 billion people in the world, and yet we still are a small world if you think about it.
Definitely.
If you were talking to a group of young men and young women, and I will always have local government officials speak to some of the classes I teach at both Montlo and Columbia, what would you tell a young man or young woman, somebody who's just graduated from high school or in their first year in college, the world of public service? Is it worthwhile to dedicate a lifetime to public service?
That depends on what your goal is.
Okay.
If your goal is to get rich, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
If your goal is to try to better your county, your city, your state, for future generations and for your future children that you're going to have, then I think it is a worthwhile goal and a good job to have.
And you know what's key? And we've just met before this broadcast. I'm very impressed with your in-depth and your motivation, and more specifically, your foundation, quite frankly, of spirit. Your foundation that combines psychology, combines your education at both Memphis Law and at Lipscomb, that you have a real love and feeling for people.
The reason I took this job is I have 2 small children.
Mm-hmm.
One just turned 8 this past weekend.
Great age.
And my focus is on what is this going to be like for them whenever they're my age.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you that whenever I go back to California, and I will drive through cities that I had the opportunity and pleasure of managing, and I will look at the cities today, and I will say, what were we thinking 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, in terms of the planning? And looking at the community doesn't mean more plaques in front of a fire station that it was dedicated on such and such a date, or a street that is now 6-lane versus a 2-lane country road. But taking a look at what we do today in local government has a significant impact on what it will be in the future. And to go back and look at what has actually occurred as a result of effort and endeavors by elected officials supported by staff people, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, I think I have the benefit of having a mayor that really is trying to think about not only how something affects us today, but how it's going to affect future generations. I think you're absolutely right. If we don't do that, then we're missing the point.
How would you rate from the county standpoint law enforcement, fire suppression, health services?
So I'm glad you asked that question specifically. Obviously, the county has been building several public health and safety buildings throughout the county. We have one that's being built currently in the Plainview area. That one was strategically located so that it could help serve the Christiana community and also I-24. There's a lot of accidents that happen on that interstate, and having that fire and ambulance station located that close to the interstate should assist with those calls. That we're looking at building a new EMS station in the Smyrna area. The stations we have in the Smyrna area, because that is a fast-growing part of the county, need some assistance, and so we're doing that. And another thing that some people don't think of whenever they think of public safety is a forensic center. Currently, I think it's 63 counties, maybe 65, that all take their bodies to the Forensic Medical Center in Nashville. There are a few other forensic centers in Nashville, Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Johnson City. But the vast majority of Tennessee counties only have that one facility to use. And the mayor's office is focused on, as you said, the future. And we believe that would be very beneficial to Rutherford County and our citizens from a number of perspectives to have a forensic medical center here within our county. The law enforcement from Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, Eagleville, and the county's perspective all rely heavily on the Forensic Medical Center in Nashville, and having a location here that is local, more accessible, that is somewhere that they don't have to drive to Nashville, sit around and wait all day for the detectives while an autopsy is being performed. That would assist with the law enforcement within the county, and help solve some of the cases that we have that coming down the pike.
It's interesting, and I'm sure in every city hall and in every county courthouse throughout the United States, both the elected officials and the staff are looking at Los Angeles and looking at the horrible, tragic fires that have occurred in the last several weeks, and raising the question, have we developed, are we planning to be sure that we have the maximum amount of support, both in terms of infrastructure, in terms of equipment, in the fire case, in terms of available water? Do we have the backup in case there is a major tragedy, a major effort and incident like the Los Angeles County fires? So you take a look at law enforcement, you take a look at fire suppression, you take a look at public works in terms of utilities. And I would imagine that evaluation and that view is ongoing now on a daily basis.
Well, the utilities are not provided by the county, but a lot of those other things are definitely provided by the county. And as I said, we're looking at building new EMS stations. We're building currently a public health and safety building. Something else that is we're currently doing that maybe a lot of people don't think of in the realms of public safety, but we are expanding the physical footprint of the recovery court.
Great. Talk about that. That is extraordinarily important.
Yeah, so what we found was that we have the staff to increase the number of participants within the recovery court program. We just did not physically have space. We didn't have the offices, we didn't have the meeting rooms and that kind of thing. So the mayor's office is started, that actually started construction a couple of weeks ago on a 1,200 square foot roughly addition to that building that will provide additional meeting room space. And we will be doing some renovations within the current footprint of the recovery court to add additional offices once the new meeting rooms are built. And we believe that this will help us to increase the number of participants that we have within the recovery court without adding additional personnel.
And most people can't say most people. Some people wonder, why all this expansion? Why all this growth in public service? Well, when you have a population that grows, you've got to serve that population as an increased demand on all services regardless. We'll be right back with the concluding visit with Eric Hennessee, Chief of Staff to the Mayor of Rutherford County, Joe Carr, and with some concluding comments about how does he see the future.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
Former CIA officer Jason Hansen here. As someone who's dedicated my life to protecting people, I know the importance of guarding what matters most. Right now, with global instability and the dollar's declining value, that means securing your financial assets with gold. For me, I trust Advantage Gold with my own investments. Give them a call at 800-900-8000 for a 100% free gold guide. Again, call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 today.
Paid for by Advantage Gold. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
This is Pastor Nikki Ajapong, the lead pastor of Holy Hill Chapel in Murfreesboro.
Here are sermons on WGNS every Sunday night at 7:30.
Our congregation is made up of a variety of nationalities.
Visit holyhillchapeltn.org to hear our podcast.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstireprostn.com.
It's a Slick Pig barbecue, spicy wings and Brunswick stew, everything made fresh for you at the Slick Pig barbecue. There's lean smoked turkey and chicken too, ribs so tender don't need to chew. Well, come on folks, I'm telling you, it's a Slick Pig barbecue. In 1920 East Main, you're gonna love the pig.
The Slick Pig Barbecue, a Murfreesboro tradition.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
This is Bill Krause in the final segment of the WGNS Radio Roundtable on a Thursday morning, as we understand is going to be warming up after all the nice below freezing temperature that we have, quote, experienced in the recent days. We have been visiting this Thursday morning with Eric Hennessee, who has been the Chief of Staff of Mayor Joe Carr since Mayor Carr was sworn into office, or close afterwards?
I started a month after he did, yes.
Wow. who brings to the county courthouse a combination of very significant commitment, passion, values, and so forth. I do have to ask you this. Has the world of biology impacted you at all since you've been with the county?
It probably helps me with my son, helping my son with his homework.
But
no, not quite. No.
Now, you were going to share with our audience the mayor's state of the county.
Yes, I have breaking news. This is the
Wow.
first release on the on the roundtable. That let it be known. February the 11th at 7 o'clock, the mayor will be.
Is that AM or
PM?
Oh, okay. Mayor Carr likes early mornings, as I recall.
Yes, this one is February the 11th at 7 p.m. There will be a State of the County address that will be on RCTV and on social media.
Great. Any tidbits you may want to share? Any?
I'm just dropping the teaser, y'all. Everybody stay tuned.
Wow. So, and I'm sure Mayor Carr has a full agenda that he wants to share, and it's an evening part, and everybody really pay attention. Something coincidental about us the day before the original Lincoln's birthday. Is he going to be somewhat Lincoln-esque?
I don't know.
Tell him to wear the big hat, and come dressed as Abraham Lincoln. And actually, there are some comparisons trying to bring the country together as President Lincoln. He will be bringing the county together as Mayor Carr.
Well, that's what I was trying, yeah.
As we get in our final moments, where do you see from your perspective the future of Rutherford County? Not necessarily the vision that you present of Mayor Carr, but you as a longtime resident, you as a professional within the town of Smyrna, you as an attorney within a private firm within Murfreesboro, and you now as the chief key person for the mayor of Rutherford County.
Rutherford County is no longer the sleepy little community that it was when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's important, and I think the mayor shares this vision as well, that it's important for us to try to maintain the charm that has brought a lot of individuals to our community to want to reside here, and at the same time plan and help provide the infrastructure that is necessary for that growth, and that's essentially what we're trying to do is provide, as you said, the necessary infrastructure, would that be fire and sheriff's department and EMS, schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of the budget, and Rutherford County has two of the best schools in the state of Tennessee, being McFadden and Central, and so continuing on those paths of increasing the infrastructure so that everyone is covered, continuing on the path of supporting the Rutherford County schools. I think those are big things that the county is going to continue to do.
Dr. Jimmy Sullivan will be one of our visitors on the roundtable in the next several weeks. And of course, one of the great challenges of Rutherford County schools is how will they be funding the huge planned development west of Laverne. 6,000 new homes ultimately anticipated west of the I-24 in the Laverne to Nolensville area. And funding for elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, is going to be a great challenge depending upon the bonding ability of the state and the county. So great number of challenges, opportunities. The one interesting definition of Rutherford County, and I think you have alluded to it extremely well during our visit, is the fact that for so long it was a feeder county into Davidson County. This was a suburb, people lived here, commuted in, even before I-24 up on US 41 up to downtown Nashville, and became certainly very much of a commuter community. In recent years, Rutherford County is now a destination county. not only because of MTSU, for example, that is a major attraction of students, faculty, staff, family, and so forth, but as you mentioned before on the particular law enforcement organization, to have it in as a direction into Rutherford County. So when you take a look at new hotels being built here, companies relocating here, certainly when Nissan located in Smyrna, it rapidly became a destination county rather than a feeder county. And that has some great responsibilities. And you begin to say, back to what I said earlier, if you had a magic wand to make Rutherford County the very, very best of 95 counties in the state of Tennessee, what might you do? And you want the quality of service at the reasonable cost.
You know, I think Rutherford County probably is the best of the counties.
I would tend to agree.
At least from what I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think we need a magic wand. I think we need to stay the course and like I said, continue to look to our past for the charm and things that have brought people to this community before, and also look to the future in ways to continue with that and also continue with the expansion of services that the growth necessarily requires.
And, you know, there's a slogan that I always used with cities I was with, and it's so appropriate to Rutherford County and the communities within the county. We are proud of our past and confident of our future.
Yes.
And that says it all. There's a great heritage respect for the footprint of Rutherford County, the families that have been here well over 100 years, the historical facilities, the homes, the references, even the museums, the history of Rutherford County, the role it played, you know, and certainly I can't assume everybody knows this, but it's the fact of life that Murfreesboro is the center of the state, the center point of Tennessee, north, south, east, west, right in this particular area. So it's the center of optimism, the center of growth, or I shouldn't say growth, the center of quality growth. And, you know, again, if we had this interview 10 years from today, would we be saying, okay, Eric, okay, Mayor Carr, are you pleased of where we've come? And that would be the big question. I guess the last question I would ask is, you have an 8-year-old son. You have 2 children.
Yes, I do.
How old is your other child?
He will be 2 in March.
Oh, bless your heart, you're going through the terrible 2s. Good for you. May your patience level dealing with a 2-year-old be as great as your patience level dealing with a constituent. Very, very important.
Thank you.
But you begin and you raised the point during your visit. You know, what kind of world, what kind of community do you want your boys to grow into? And do you want them to look upon where they live as not only a stepping stone on a life's journey, but, quote, a destination point on their life journey? You know, going to great schools in Rutherford County, going to possibly the university or the community college in Rutherford County, etc. So it's what kind of future you hope for them. How's the county been doing with the weather?
You know, I was actually not here when we had the snow.
Oh, you were wise. Did you go to a place with sunshine?
I was in South America at the time.
Oh, you back to Lima?
Yes, yes.
Oh, well, before we adjourn, talk about your most recent visit.
Well, so my wife is Peruvian.
Okay. And you met her when you were in Peru?
I did.
Uh-huh.
And so we had traveled back after Christmas to visit with family.
And your boys went with you?
They did, yes.
How'd they take the trip?
Well, it was 85 degrees in the day and 65 degrees in the afternoon, so they rather enjoyed it, yeah.
Oh, and when you got off the plane, had we yet had the snow and the freezing, or did that?
Yes, I came back after the snow, but you know, you were asking how did the county deal with it. I know that the county mayor, I don't know if you saw this, but he actually went out and helped remove snow from some of the public health and safety buildings. Wow. And fire halls and that kind of thing.
Is he good with the shovel?
He had a bobcat, so.
Oh, okay. I can picture Mayor Carr and a bobcat. I was thinking there he is with a shovel and his gloves and his cap, and so forth. Eric Hennessee, it has been a great, great, great pleasure to have you with us this morning. Mayor Carr and the County of Rutherford can be very proud of its chief of staff for the mayor, of a gentleman who is very dedicated and committed, not only to excellence, but to values. And I appreciate that. The county appreciates that. Keep up the great work, and we look forward to having you return one morning on the Roundtable.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Pleasure. Wish